Hello Internet, my name is Nick and I'll be reviewing the very recently landed Dracula. This is based very loosely on Bram Stoker's Dracula book of the same name and was basically written by Steve Moffat of Doctor Who fame. He wrote a lot of Doctor Who stories and people hate him for some strange reason and they love him, not quite sure. And Mark Gatiss, who wrote for Doctor Who and for Sherlock. I was quite surprised about it. I had not seen anything in build-up. I think maybe it was because it was over the Christmas period that I've missed a lot of trailers. I'm also trying to sort of cut down on watching trailers because it kind of ruins movies. And I was quite excited about this. I just finished watching his Dark Materials and suddenly it arrived the week after on the Sunday evening. I actually forgot about it, but I picked it up a couple of days later. So yes, the show starts in the past, and there will be spoilers in this. It starts in the past in his castle, as a matter of fact. Him and Hawker, who is a lawyer who's been sent there to basically be drained, I suppose, of his life. Dracula kind of messes around with him while he stays in his, in his castle. So it goes from the castle to a convent with nuns. Episode 2 is on the Demeter, which is a ship that he uses to travel through to England. And then the last episode is quite a few hundred years, 113, 127 years in the future. So from the first episode through to the last. So of course that's quite different to the book immediately. Though he does, they do use quite a few lines from the book, which is a hit and a miss as far as they are delivered. But anyway, so the show, as I say, is over quite a long span of time over here. And it also includes Van Helsing, only this Van Helsing is actually a nun. She is kick-ass, I have to say. And she's played by Dolly Wells. She does a very, very good job, as a matter of fact. She is hard, sarcastic, confident, cocky, all of these things when literally faced with Dracula on her front doorstep. And of course, if you don't invite a vampire in, they can't get in. So she has quite a lot of fun tormenting him in the first episode. He literally goes from being a wolf.
I do love a bit of fur.
To ripping the wolf apart and him appearing literally naked in front of her, much to the happiness or scare, I'm not quite sure, all of the nuns behind her. She has a whole, as I said, it's in a convent, all the nuns are sort of shining their eyes away. And he's played by Klaus Bang. And he's brilliant in this, he really is. He kind of reminds me of the actor who plays Lucifer. He is charming, he's sexy, he's broody, and he's violent and very powerful, you can see that. And I think I think the show works because of him, as a matter of fact. It's between him and Dolly, who plays the nun or Van Helsing. They really do carry the show. A lot of the other actors around them are great, but they're in it very short, very quick sort of bursts. I think Hawker, who is the lawyer, as I mentioned in the first episode, he gets probably the longest role as one person playing it. And I like the way that it starts with him. He's basically recounting his story to this crazy nun who seems to be quite far removed from the other nuns in the way that she talks to him. And she even goes as far as, saying, have you had, intercourse with Dracula? And so it goes from him, Hawker, recounting his experience in Dracula's castle and him basically exploring the castle when Dracula was sleeping or out, and finding some of his wives. That doesn't go very well, and lots of babies crying and babies turning into vampires in this. So they certainly did like the baby thing. As I say, in the first episode, you have a baby turning, I suppose, and they basically turn into gormless wrecks. They're not really all there. Hawker is one of the first that Dracula says he turns that actually manages to keep a semblance of sort of rationale. And even in the third episode, there's another baby vampire thing. So yeah, a lot of baby stuff over here. It's quite a cliche to go to as far as scare and horror. And they do quite a good job with this in the first episode anyway, of scaring and terrorizing the viewers. I have one colleague who couldn't get past half an hour because she thought it was quite scary. And it is actually very scary in certain spots. When he's walking around in the castle, he stumbles along across a whole bunch of crates. Basically, they have the people who own the crates inside, and they kind of come alive and chase him. It's quite horrific. It's quite scary in these scenes. Episode 2 and 3 certainly kind of remove that. As I said, first episode is castle, then into convent. Episode 2 is when he's trying to basically travel across the ocean to get to England because he wants to go and live there now. And he has selected a special group of people that he wants to basically drain. And when he drains people, he takes their personalities and their traits. There's one particular scene where he's forgotten how to speak German and he goes and drains somebody, comes back and suddenly he's fluent in German. So those kind of things kind of work nicely. I must say, it's a lot of fun. So episode 2, quite cool. It's on a rickety vessel, ship. And yeah, the scenery in the show is absolutely phenomenal. They certainly did not spare any expense as far as the makeup as well in this is phenomenal. The scenery, as I just mentioned, is great. And that is basically all the way until the last episode. But I'll get to that in just a little minute. As I say, so first episode, brilliant location shots as well. Second episode must have been quite tricky to film because it looks like there must have been some shots on a boat at least somewhere. And that was quite fun. As I say, you don't get to see, old ships and sort of pirates, not really pirates, but, and they even go into the whole tapping the admiral. I won't go into too much detail there. So yeah, episode 2 is quite fun. Then episode 3 arrives. And I was actually quite excited. I was like, oh, yes! Because this was going to take place quite a few years in the future. Basically, at the end of the second episode, Demeter goes down. He gets trapped at the bottom of the ocean inside one of his boxes with soil. And he kind of gets sort of picked up or released a couple of, 127 years, something like that, 113, I forget. But yeah, so I was quite excited about this episode set in the future. He seems to adapt to technology extremely quick, but he's a very old guy, so he probably has a bit of, brains. And I was quite excited about it. I thought they were going to go in a direction of, also in the future, the person who sort of catches him is one of the descendants of Van Helsing. It's played by the same actress as well. And yeah, I was extremely excited about this, and they really fucked it up, to be honest with you. It went from being quite a cool, old-school Dracula thing to being him obsessed with following some girl who's just turned 22, a raver, a clubber, and him draining her, and she has zero personality, except she keeps going on about, oh, people want me to smile, they love me because I'm smiling. Okay, fine. But because people want you to smile, you literally are courting death. You don't care if you die. So there was very little character development on her side of things. She has a friend who also is in love with her. Very little character development with him either. The majority of the last episode was basically him playing mind games with the new, new generation of Van Helsing. And that it worked to a certain extent. She's dying of cancer, I think it is, and he can't, drink her because of this. If he starts drinking dying blood, then he dies. So he doesn't, hurt her. And she drinks his blood. I'm not quite sure why. Maybe she thought it was going to, heal her. It doesn't. But she does suddenly start having flashbacks of her ancestors, her great-great-grandmother or great-great-great-grandmother. Anyway, and this sort of leads to a combination, a final, which was possibly one of the most limp-wristed goddamn finals I've seen for a vampire series. I mean, okay, it's only 3 episodes, but you know what I mean. It was really lame. I mean, Dracula kind of committing suicide because he feels emo? Come on, guys, really? That was a really bad ending. And that was that was very disappointing. They went and I think they were trying to be too clever or too smart. One of my friends, Trevor, said that they went in full Sherlocked. Absolutely bloody right. First episode was quite fun to watch. Second episode doesn't take itself serious. Third episode trying to be far, far too smart with the whole, oh, I'm afraid of light, I'm afraid of the crosses and stuff because I can't face the fact that I wasn't a warrior. What? Anyway, so that's one of the things I didn't like about this. I've mentioned that one of the favourite characters, and Klaus Bang really does a great job of Dracula. Some of the other irritating things in this, their second episode, were the stupidness of the characters. If you're standing in a ring of, I think it was Bible pages nailed down to the deck, you're not going to get out and then get back in. Because, oh God, the stupidity in this. I mean, the first episode, Hawker, the lawyer who basically gets turned by Dracula in the first episode, he has a fiancée that suddenly appears out of nowhere. I'm not quite sure how she manages to come down and visit the guy, but she literally lets him in after, even though he's just proven now that he's not to be trusted, etc. So she lets him through a ring, circle, spell, thing, protection, and that was irritating. And yeah, a lot of the characters are just dumb. They're really stupid. So second episode, a lot of dumb characters in this. As I said, I do love the actor and the character of Dracula. However, even though it is supposed to be a sort of semi-comedy stroke horror series, he kind of gets annoying, to be honest with you, at certain times with the humor. Every second fucking sentence there was a pun. Someone will offer him food and he'll be like, I don't drink wine. Or, well, you could really sink your fangs into that. That kind of joke, the whole bat thing joke stuff. And it really got kind of tedious. It was sort of borderline on breaking the fourth wall, that the only people who were really enjoying that were you and him. And okay, he wasn't directly looking at the camera or anything, but the constant sort of like, wow, he looks drained, and all these kind of things. It was just, oh, it got a little bit much. I mean, I don't mind my puns at all, but I mean, that was basically the humor throughout the entire thing, was him with puns. And it kind of took it away from me, to be honest with you. A little bit is fine, a little bit too much. It's the same as Lucifer. The first couple of seasons, he was really fun. Last season, it's just him going wishy-washy and being lame. And it was a bit lame, the humor in this, to be honest with you. So anyway, I would recommend it if you'd like a kind of horrific little fun thing to watch with your girlfriend, boyfriend, whatever, on the couch. Drinking a glass of wine and everything, but certainly not to be taken serious. I don't think people will be watching this in a year's time. So Netflix, again, you are so close. I'm sure the Whovians out there will go and rip Steve Moffat to pieces again, because that seems to be their favorite activity. I'd give this probably a 6 out of 10, 6.5 out of 10 if I'm on a good day. That ending just really sunk it for me. And, after me trying to sink my fangs into the show, you see what I did there? It kind of was a letdown. So anyway, I'll catch you guys later. Enjoy your day.